For the next part, I will create a copy of the dial pad graph. So I will create a new substance graph. This will be the phone handle module, and at that part I will copy the whole set of nodes from the dial pad. Alright, now we can remove the outputs and click the view outputs in 3D view. You can see that there's very wrong results happened because our tiling mode is set to HNV tiling. When I set it to no tiling, our correct computation will be made. So we have the same shapes for the dialer in this graph. We will manipulate this one to get a phone handle module. So what I have in mind for the phone handle module is something like this hands-free phones, but we will not use any dial pad because we already have in this module. It will be pointless, but in our new module we will use a phone handle which is placed to its dock, and also we will add some speaker grills which is used for hands-free talking. So in this device of in our imagination, when a phone comes, when a call comes, you will take the phone handle and go away, and also you can talk around this device by hands-free by using the speaker of this module. So there will be dock and phone handle and the speaker and microphone input. These are the reference images that I collected for this shape. Those are the old school phone handle types. I will not use them, but these three will be the main point of our new module, which will be having the same frame and colors on it. So let's move it aside and remove the things that we are not gonna use on this shape. The first one is the screen for this shape. I will cancel it by disconnecting the shape. And for the camera, we don't need it. I will remove the first shape of it and also the lens shape that we have created. And let's see, we also don't need the numeric pad. And this is the keys. I will remove it. We don't need this part. We will be using panel for keys for speaker maybe. Let's make it available for a while. Okay. These two blendings are not necessary. I will remove it. So we can remove this blending too, since we don't have any camera. And for the roughness, camera blendings are unnecessary. And finally, for the color, I will remove the camera color. Let's remove it. Lamps may be repositioned in future. Let's make them be there for a while. We will be using outer frame, keypad panel, but we can change it as the handle panel. Let me check if I'm looking to the right part. Okay, it's the angle here. It can stay as it is. So we have disconnected the screen, so we can totally remove this part by deleting the blending of the screen. So let's extract it from the base color blending part. I'm trying to see the connections by moving the whole set and remove the related blending. Let's check it. This will save so much time for us. So it will be good to spare this time. Also, I will highlight this connection and remove this blending at the metallic channel blendings. Let me check if I did the correct thing. Right. Now our screen cut loose and we can delete it. We don't have the keys. Let's remove all the connections for the keys. I'm deleting with backspace from the keyboard, so the connections stay as it is when the unnecessary node is deleted. It's important not to delete with the delete key. Just use the backspace key when you want to keep the connection when you delete the node. As you see, if I delete it with delete key, it will result with this look. And if I delete it with backspace, it saves the connection between the input and output before and after the related node. Let's check this node. We have something on this area. I delete it. So we have some button roughness blending. Also we have some button blending at this area. Let's delete both of them. Right. So for the keys we have a height blending. I removed. Let's check this. remove it. And also this blending is not necessary. I delete it too. And our buttons cut loose as well. Right. Now we have a simple module to be customized again. So let's remove the numerical keys. Alright, start with this panel for keys shape. I will just make a copy first. No, copy is not necessary. Let's start by deleting the second transformation 2D node and add another one. This time it will be centered. So we will also be using a rectangular shape. I will increase the shape and decrease the size in X to get a better aspect ratio on height and width of this shape. Also, before that, let's increase the height, increase the width of this general shape, because we need more space on this one. Okay, that's better. You can see that non-destructive workflow helps us to use what we have done so far again by creating additional shapes, by helping and securing the general relations between the nodes. So I love this when trying additional scaling and manipulations around the nodes, and see after these things doesn't distract anything. It's very happy to see this kind of flexibility on 3D content creation. So after scaling our shape, now I can change the panel and we can rename it by panel for the handle, phone handle. Okay. We can increase the scaling at this part. Let's delete it first and add another transformation 2D node to make the scaling again by 90%. Okay. Let's change the scaling from the first part, which will be easier for us to create to keep the roundness homogeneously on the shape. Okay. Let's scale down by this part. Now we have lower radiuses here. Also, you can decrease the distance by this node. Let's decrease the height a little bit. Now we can move the shape to the left to put the handle here. We may adjust the width of this later because this at this point we need to create the phone handle first. Those are the LED lights. Okay. Let's move them to a position. Okay, when I'm changing the position here, it affects only the one. Alright, maybe this one is the correct one, yes. Let's put these lights here. And this transformation 2D node should be copied over this transformation 2D node, which defines the color positioning of this LEDs, which is the placed here because of the mask generation. Let's move this to them and connect this to here. And somehow we ended up with the same color. Let's check again. Okay. It's very normal. Let's just make the connection again. These two rectangles were masking each of the shapes to create the individual masks for this job. So one should remove the first one and the other one the second one. So it's okay right now. If we change the placement, then we should adjust the positions of this masks again, rectangular masks. Alright, now we can go with creating the handle shapes. We will start by creating the height values. Let's start with simple shape again. For that shape, I will first scale down and then create an outline for the phone. We need to have some roundness on this object, so I will use a distance node to create a rounded corners, but not so much rounded. Alright, now I will use levels node to push down the values to get the outline. Okay, I'm adding a gradient linear node. Multiply it with the outline shape. Sorry, I added wrong node. I add a blend and multiply. And now I will use an auto level to make the whole values scattered by 0 to 1, because when we crop this gradient by this shape, because this shape starts by here, we have lost some of the brighter white values here and also the darker black values here. When I use an auto levels node, it creates this color distribution from 1 to 0. So this will be brighter than the previous one, which is important for us. Now I added a curve to create a curviness for this handle. Let's start with a slightly rounded shape and make a placement for this object. So we need a flat top. Let's start with a sharp corner, then we smooth it. Alright. Now we have a flat top and slightly angular bottom part. Let's change the scale a little bit more. Alright. Now we can use a bevel node to create a shape, but it's not looking right, so let's connect this curve to this gradient to make the angle first, and then remove the blending and auto levels and just use the bevel on our basic shape. Right, then we can multiply this shape with our beveled shape. Now we can add two transformation 2D nodes to place the object to its position to see how it looks on our model. This is our final height blending, and let me check the normal. Okay, we have normal comes from this blend. Then I added a blend node for this. Now let's connect it by defining it as a copy, and also we will need a mask for this blending, but let's try to position the shape first. Alright, since we have used this as a copy, it's overwrite the rest of the shapes. So add a levels node, connect the result, push down the values, and then use this as a mask for this blending. Now you can see that both shapes are placed to their positions. Let's narrow the shape a little bit and make the positioning. Okay, we have too much bevel here. Sorry. Let's add by typing. Right, so our levels are too high for this blending, so let's remove the highest part of the value, and for this mask let's make a distance node, or maybe edge detect should be better when we blend it with itself to get a border expanded. I will invert the blend edge detect and use add to create a seam for this blending. As you see, our shape starts here, but the mask is starting from here. Let's remove the roundness. Let's add a blur for it with a very low value to get a cool seam around here. Okay. Now it's hard to pull down this kind of handle, so we will add some additional detail to this part to pull the phone handle when any call comes. But before that, I want to smooth this beveling a little bit more. So on this bevel, I will add a curve. Sorry, why did I type blue? I will add the curve and create a roundness around this shape. Let's add some additional details. Like a plastic intersection seam. And also we may increase the top white level a little bit more to get better shape. But on this beveling, I want to use a blur HQ grayscale node to smooth the beveling a little bit more, because we got some undesired sharp extrusions. So this way, maybe looking better instead of this. We have some sharpened areas at this point. Maybe this curve is not a good idea on creating the seam there. Also, this is looking better when we add a detail like this. you can see that most of the things we do by creating something with Substance Designer is improvised as we do it better and better when we get used to the concept that we are creating to. This is much better. So let's add some cavity here to pull up the phone when it's needed. I will add a shape for this, and it will be a rectangular shape like this. And I will just use same transformation 2D nodes to blend it from the object. I will use subtraction. And made the scaling and move it to the upper part. Okay. Maybe we can just use some curviness here. Best way to do that is scale up the shape. Use a gradient linear node again. Blend it with the shape by multiplying. Adding an auto level. Which is not what I expected, so just use a transformation 2D node, scale down the gradient to match the in and out values of the shape height. Like this. Let's increase it a little bit. Okay. Now we can add a curve. Okay. To create a slope for this shape. Now we can create two copies of this transformation 2D nodes to use this shape like this, and then we will create the previous one as the mask of this shape, and the blending mode should be copy. But it's not what we have desired so far, because first of all we have some tiling here. Let's remove this tiling mode to no tiling. I don't know why this happened. Maybe the curve node overrides the tiling of your graph. Next, we need to scale the shape to create better placement for our additional shape at that part. I will scale down the shape, made it 2 times with 50%, right? So at that part, we just need to invert the gradient to get this hook here. For this hook, we may need to adjust the level of the hook to create a better comply with our shape. You can see that top level is better when we adjust the level of the gradient, and also we can adjust the part with the curve. Alright, now our mask acts bad because we have seam here additionally. I will add a blur node to create a smooth transition for our shape. Let's adjust the levels a little bit more. Okay. Then for the curve, I will add another value. One for this part and one for this part. Right. I will try another approach for this button to release the handphone by creating it by not just the subtraction. Maybe it's better to make an addition for a button here. Let's make it by subtracting the mask first, and then we will add a blend with the same mask, but this time we will use this gradient to add it, but this gradient will be reverse of the previous. For the curve, we can just remove all of this. Make it reverse of the actual one. And now we can use this as the button to be placed over the phone handle. Let me check the levels, because we have reached to a strange level of values. right. Let's make this gradient reverse again. Now I will change the curvature by this because we lost the black areas at the background on the previous attempt, but this one is better. Alright, now let's change the width of this shape. And we have a seam here. I want to make it a little sharpen. So let's decrease the blur amount to get a better seam. Now we can adjust the top level of our button to make it more recognizable, like this one. Now we can add a text to this area, but you know that this is an angular point, angular surface, so what we have written right with the text node will be losing some resolution here because it will be placed on an angular surface. We may need to write to this angle because it's much more perpendicular to the extrusion plane, parallel to the extrusion plane. So let's start with changing this area to create a better clearance for the part that we are going to write our text. Let's make those, all of it, cornered beziers. Now we can make some scaling for this part to be extend from the borders of this hand phone or phone handle. Let's add a transformation 2D node or just scaling the shape a little bit to the top. But as you see, we used a mask for this blending here. We need to make the same scaling for the mask too. So I will connect it to this area, but it will be hard to recreate all the shapes here. Let's make it, then connect it. Now it exceeded the limits of the shape, but let's try a better option for that. I will just use a levels node to create that mask for it, because I don't want to adjust additionally by creating the same nodes all and all over and over. Okay, Now I can adjust the scale by here. And then push down the button at this position. Right, now we can push down the values from the x-axis and increase the white level a little bit more to create the button look better. And also by here we can sharpen the seams a little bit more. Now what we can do is to create a little blur for this mask. Let's use the HQ version. All right. And we can make this blur before this part. To get a better result. We also need to create a blur for this subtraction, because this is the part we subtracted the general shape from here. So let's adjust the blur amount here to make these edges much more smoother. All right. Now it's looking better as a phone that is released by clicking to this button. For that, let's add a text node. Push to release by using the same font. All right. And now we can use this text node as a normal map for this button. And also we can use additional grip lines for this shape within the normal map. Let's copy these two transformation 2D nodes, which is used to place the object or shape to the current position of the button, and move this to the normal map blending area. So I will add a blend node, and let's just subtract this text from the button. Our scale is not right. Let's adjust it. Okay, and also I will move it upwards a little bit, and also I will decrease the subtraction opacity we made here, because ambient occlusion is too intense, and also the normal map, and it's not readable this way. Aynen böyle. Just like this. Alright, now we can add the grip lines for using a blend node. And for this blend node, we will use a simple shape. that we just decrease the size in y-axis, and also we will use it on a tile generator. We will add it as an image input. Let's use stripes instead of this because it will be easier to create lines. We need to, in order to make these stripes work correct, we need to change the tiling mode in HNV tiling. I'm setting the shift to 0, increasing the number of the stripes and the width of them. Now we will subtract this from the button, but also we need to use the same transformation 2D nodes to place these stripes to this button area. And also we will be needing a mask that we used here for the button blending. So this way the stripes only affect the button itself. Let's copy these two transformation 2D nodes for the stripes. And now you can see that we have the same placement for this grip. I will just increase the stripe number, but instead of doing that, I will use a transformation 2D node with HMV tiling to make this arrangement. Alright. And also we will be using, we need to mask this text area not to be affected by this grip lines. We need to subtract a shape from this mask in order to do that. So I add a blend. I will copy these two transformation 2D nodes. I will create a shape for this text. Let's make it like this for now. And I will take this mask to this blend node and subtract the shape I made from this mask. This way, these grids will not affect the text area like this, but I will change the placement of this shape to limit its area to just disable the grids on the text area, like this one. Let's increase the resolution of our graph to 4K to see the result better. Now you see that our text and the button works okay. Now this button can be used to release the phone when there is an incoming call. Also, we can smooth this angle here. Let's check our phone shape. We need to find the curve that we created this angle, and we define it to a smooth version. And also we can change the shape a little bit create a more futuristic phone. Let's make those sharpen again. When we get to the nice shape, we smooth the result in a desired way, which looks better by this look. So I smooth it, select this too, and decrease the smoothness around these bezier nodes. Which looks better right now. On next step, we will be adding a microphone area, hands-free talking. It will be looking like the speaker itself. We will add a speaker hole here and a microphone hole here. So these parts will be used to get the voice and for audio in and out for this particular device. Let's rename the parts. This is the part of phone handle button, this button, and this is the phone handle. And this part is the button, text and grip. It's looking all good. Now we can roll back to 2K resolution, which it's easy to work on many screens. Now we can continue to create additional details for our device. And by checking the ambient occlusion, this is our actual shape that we created so far. Let's continue by creating the speaker and the microphone holes on the panel. I will find the final height map blending, and to that blending I will add additional details for the holes about the speaker part. For that I will create a hemisphere shape and then add a transformation 2D node, then subtract it from the final shape. First I will scale down the shape and then move the part to the desired location. I will downscale a little bit more. And now I will lower the blending opacity to create an angular subtraction here. Let's decrease the scale a little bit more. Right. I will add a value for the subtraction. Let's increase it first. And also let's add a levels node to control this curviness. Okay. Now I will add additional details to this phone shape by creating another shape. For that, let's change it with stripes. I will turn on the tiling for this particular node, because stripe node only works by enabling the tiling mode as HMV tiling. I will add a transformation 2D node to downscale the shape a little bit by disabling the tiling mode as no tiling. Now I will add a distance node to create some rounded corners for this shape. Okay. By the way, we can increase the width here and make a vertical stretch to get a better result. Now we can control the width again. To get the perfect roundness for this shape. And then I will add the histogram select node to get a sharp mask out of this result. Alright. Now I will add a blend node. And before that blend node, I will add another transformation 2D node to scale down the shape again. And for that blend node, let's define it as max lighten. Let's increase the shape. And add another transformation 2D node to decrease it again. Okay. For the ambient occlusion, I will add a levels node to crank up the values of the height map, so I can be able to subtract this shape individually to get a better occlusion inside this shape. Alright. Also, we can do this to the normal map too. Let me show you the change. This is the normal map created from the actual height map, and I will change the normal map calculation to this result by moving this node to normal map and ambient occlusion generator nodes. Now we will create another detail on this area because it will be used as speaker. All right. Let's create another hemisphere shape to form the speaker outer case. By adding another histogram select node, I will control the, let me use a levels node for that. I will control the top surface and the rest will be rounded, and to control it I can change the middle shape and also the bottom controller to get a better shape distribution, but it's best recognized when we use this on the height map. So I will add another transformation 2D node set for the positioning and scaling. Then I will add the blend node before this subtraction to form this shape inside this shape. So I will copy these two transformation 2D nodes. Let's remove it. Now we can subtract this from the shape. Scaling must be better. Let's start by scaling it down by 50%. All right. Subtracting it from this is not a good idea. Let's add another blend node here. And use a max lighten option on this shape. And let's remove this temporary ambient occlusion enhancement. This is much better. Let's use a pattern here to create some holes for the speaker part. Let me check if there's any similar one. This one is looking better. Now I will use an histogram select. Create a black and white distribution for this shape. You can also change the position to scale the shape of these dots. Let's decrease the resolution of those because we will tile them too much. This way it will optimize the source cost for calculating these nodes. Now I will add transformation to the node. Then I will create this dot shapes. Now I can blend this shape with this one by subtracting shape from it. And also we can use the shape itself as the blending mask, blending opacity mask, to remove the intensity on the near edges when we subtract the dots from the shape. Let's change the scaling here. Okay. I will remove the opacity mask because this looks better when I use it like this way. Okay. Now we need a frame for this the part with holes. I will add another shape. Let's use an hemisphere for that, or use the same sphere here by using an edge detect. I invert it, increasing the width. Then I will use a blur, and I will subtract the shape, first shape from it, to get a rounded frame. I will blur the main shape that I'm subtracting from the frame to get a rounded inside part. So you can see that when I increase the blur, the inside part of this edge gets smoother. Now I will add a blend node. From the blending mode, I will set it to max and put this shape around this one. So you can see that our shape is looking much better with these blendings. And also we achieved some Art Deco look on our speaker. Maybe we can increase the size of the stripes by the outer circle. It's easy to do. Let me show you how we can do that. I will add a shape node. And make it like disc. And then before the distance node and corner rounding, I will blend this stripes with this shape by multiplying, and also I will scale down the shape, so you can see that we have a distribution like they are placed by the outer circle borders. Now I will increase the scale, vertical scale by 75%, and I will increase the whole scale by 120. Alright, this is looking better. Now we can make this blending to be read by the normal and ambient occlusion nodes. To make it look better, we need to create a levels node. I will increase the bottom black level to a higher value. Sorry, it doesn't work like that way. Let's undelete the additional detail that we have do, which we increased the black level first and made the blending again individually for the speaker part, because the height level on this part is very low on black levels, so we cannot increase so much. We can't create deeper height values because it's already near black values on this part. So I will increase the black part on the levels node and make the subtraction again with a deeper result. And also I need to make this blending there too. I will copy and paste that blend node. Now I will increase the opacity to get this blending on its way. When I put the result to the normal at ambient occlusion nodes, this part will be more recognizable on ambient occlusion and also in the normal map. Let's adjust the blending of this shape and you can see that it's looking better. Alright. Now we can create a simple shapes for this part too. So it will be used as some hands-free microphone input. It will be easy like we did on this part. Let me add frames for those two. Maybe we can position these to the bottom part. I don't know, what you think? No, let's leave it that way. For this part, we will create just simple shapes. Let's copy the speaker part to this area. And let's blend it with our shape. We will be using subtraction for this part as well. Let's start with full opacity first, then we will adjust it. And also let me position it to somewhere else to see how it looks on the panel. Alright. For this part, we can use the same placement by adding some scaling here. Let's just manipulate the actual shape. Right, let's rotate it 90 degrees. Right. Okay. Now I will add a hemisphere for an old school microphone looking result. For that I will use stripes, and let me check if any other usable pattern for this one. These are looking amazing for the microphone. Let's change the tidying mode. Now let's use a blend for this by using a multiply to get a high distribution for this shape. I will use transformation 2D node and increase a bit of tiling. And also we can change the rotation of this shape. Let me make a blending for the by this shape to get a cross-section result. Which is better, but the levels should be different from each one. Also we can use a histogram select node to get rid of the plate part by removing the lower values by the histogram select node. Like this. I will make the blending with full opacity, but I will decrease the white values by the levels node. Alright. This is looking more like a microphone surface. Checking the final results. It's not affected, but I will add a levels node to control the curviness better by using the middle slider. Alright. Now I will copy these two transformation 2D nodes to make the same placement on the subtraction by adding a final blend node for this microphone head to be placed on the subtracted area by using the max lighten option. Let's change the tiling mode here to no tiling again. Okay, we need to make the same scaling for this shape. Let's add another transformation 2D node to make the scaling here on this part. All right. Let's change the order of this blending. Also, I didn't like the rotated result. Can make the rotation maybe here. All right. Alright. Now we will add a frame for this. This is not looking perfect right now, but we will figure out a better way to create a better look for this shape. Let's add a blend node here. And I will extract the same frame from this shape. To do that, I will copy the nodes that I used on the previous shape. Let's take those. These two. And paste here. Now I will take this shape to here. Right. Let me check the problem here. We have levels and then edge detect. Okay, we forgot to copy this node. Let's paste it here. And then we form the frame for this shape. Let's use this blending as add linear dodge. And I will copy this transformation 2D nodes for this one to make the blending individually for this frame, to make a good angle by using the add linear dodge option. We need to use this shape also, not the blended one. Okay, now let's increase the blending here. So now we can adjust the scale of our frame. Let's add an histogram select node and move this. No, let's continue with the levels node. We can change the overall scale by controlling the level handles. But we can do this more interactively by using the histogram select node. Let's use a more quality blur here. This is not the shape that we are looking for here. Let's keep the frame and positioning, but blending it with the rest of the shape is not looking right. So to do that, I will change the blending of this as the max lighten, and I will rescale the frame here. Okay, let's increase the edge width. Right. Let's remove the auto levels and add a regular levels to control the white value. But before that, let's readjust scaling of the shape again. Alright. Let's move down the white value here. Now it's looking better. We can also remove this subtractions here, but they are looking somehow good. So I will leave it down that way. So we have two speakers. One is for microphone and the other one is for the speaker. Now it will be better to create more depth ambient occlusion for these details here and also the normal map. To do that, we have these details here. Let's add a blend node for this shape and use this blend on the normal and AO enhancing part. I will use multiply. Sorry, multiply is not the right decision here. Let's use multiply for it. Then we will use the same shape as the mask for this blending. So only this part will be affected, but once we adjust the level to a white mask here. And also for that multiply, we will use another levels. And then we will exaggerate the result here. So the normal map and the ambient occlusion will be affected by this. It's not looking good, so let's try another way. Just I will add the blend, but this time I will just use a blend node for this shape and this one to make the detail first, then copy this tree to create the same placement. Now we can use this as a multiply function for that blending, and also the same shape will be used as the mask. Let's take the first shape, push down the values, and we will use this too. This is for blending mask, and this is the multiplication shape. And also let's remove the outer frame from this shape by using a subtract, or let's use this frame to define the blending mask of the previous shape by subtracting it. I will use levels node to push down its values. Now we have a narrower mask for this shape. Okay. Took the wrong mask, and now it's cool. Alright, now we have very detailed ambient occlusion for this part and very detailed normal map for this part, but this detail level is too much higher, so we need to adjust it a little bit to create this blending. Also we need to split this blending in two ways to get the normal map less intense and the ambient occlusion in more intense way. Alright. It's better. And also we can increase the scale of this general shape to place it to this area. Let's start by doing this on the first shape. Which is here. Let's increase the scale first and make the new positioning. This is cool. And now we will copy these two transformation 2D nodes to all shapes by replacing it with a new one. We may adjust the curviness again. But this is not much of a problem here. We even don't need to do that, so it's cool right now. Now we have the microphone and speaker parts, which will be used as hands-free functions of this phone handle part. We can define additional colors by masking these shapes. Okay. Now let's use this part as the microphone color here. And also I want to use the speaker grid in different colors. So let's add a blend. And use this shape as a mask of this new color. I will move this to base color blendings and this one too. Now we will use blend nodes. Sorry. Now we will use these nodes to blend our colors. I'm checking to see how brass-like colors are looking on this shape. They're not looking so good. It's better on the top part, but not on the bottom part. Let's combine these two. To get a better, greater mask. So we can see it on the final. Let's change it with the histogram select node. Now we can do some additional coloring for this inside parts. For that, we can use these two transformation 2D nodes and use this first mask and add a blend. But let's do some subtraction first. I'm creating this blend. And change the formation. Add levels. Contrast the values. Increase subtraction opacity. Then we can connect these and use a blend for this mask. To make a color for these. Now it's looking better. Let's change the font handle color. By this I will change the color with a low saturated and low on black. Okay. So we have completed the final device, which is the phone handle of our three part of device set. So in the next chapter, I will show you to use these textures to create the 3D geometry by using the height maps as tessellated displacements. And we will assign the rest of the material channels to that geometry, which are the metallic and roughness textures like base color and the normal maps. And finally, we will render these three devices as a final 3D model. See you in final chapter.